So Taylor Lorenz is crying about being caught. At least one thing has finally come to her, which is Washington Post has apparently decided that she's no longer a staff member, which is interesting enough. So we'll start off, in case you have no idea who the hell this smear merchant is. As you can see, in Mel's Chung here saying Taylor Lorenz would definitely stalk libs of TikTok at the supermarket as she cries because, well, there's a lot of media focused on her. She's like, isn't it terrible? They probably stalk me in the supermarket. It's like, yeah. But if you click on that second image, this is you, the libs of TikTok's house, because you dare try to show, well, did show the left in their own words. I mean, you were so upset that you decided to turn up in your N95 mask, of course, to a home, stalking random individuals as well. So there you have it. The idea that she's some kind of victim in here is mad for people who don't know. But if you go to the next one, this is where she became an absolute living meme. As you can see, my dentist wants to charge me $1,300 for a single plastic retainer. Oh no. Maybe you should publish your dentist's name and private information while stalking their family, responds Greg, which, yeah, why not? It's what you do to everyone else who, has the slightest inconvenience in your life, so what would stop you as well, morally? If we go to the next one, we then have the fact that this is the news. Washington Post moves Taylor Lorenz to technology team. She's no longer a staffer there. Instead, she's on the tech team. It seems that's been quite a downgrade. And it's because, she keeps just making stuff up, as in just openly lying.
I do hate it when they choose a photo that's like mid-talking like that, and they use that as the cover. It's a bit scummy, but yeah, I get the point.
The reason for this as well, it is a bit scummy, but it's purposely done so. I think. I don't know the Daily Caller did it purposely done so, but this image from this interview gets put up a lot because she's in there crying about how she's 30s. Totally not, late 40s. And that she's received so much abuse, and then she tried to get the clip taken down because she looks like a moron, crying. It's, oh God, how can I be harassed? And it's like, you're a professional harasser. What were you doing at Libs at TikTok's house? Oh, you don't know. It could be a Russian agent. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Moron. Anyway, after a recent incident regarding an incorrect attribution, the Washington Post removed her from the feature staff team and has requested that the paper's the senior managing editor, Cameron Barr, review all of her articles before publication, the New York Times reported.
Don't you review all articles before publication anyway?
You would have thought. I think they had people reviewing them, and there's been, well, obviously corruption. So then they've decided to get someone else who isn't just, in her orbital circle of corruption, not just looking at it going, that's fine, but actually checking that, did you do any work, or did you just make it up? Like the lady from USA Today. And, made it up seems to be at least some of the things she's done. The Washington Post issued 2 correction on Lorenz's June 3rd article. Quote, who won the Depp Heard trial? Content creators that went all in. That stated that YouTubers, I don't know how to say their names, Atle Massacre and The Umbrella Guy did not respond to requests for comments. The 2 separately tweeted that they were never contacted by Lorenz. Just made up. She's just like, yeah, I contacted them and they didn't respond. I was like, you didn't. I mean, if we go to the next one, we can see the Umbrella Guy as just one example. I don't know this chap, but I checked out his channel. Seems like an alright guy. And as you can see, he just mentions the fact that this is just an open lie. He noted this on Twitter at 8:31 p.m. And then at 9:44, he decides to Lorenz decides to contact him directly after he noticed it publicly. And if you click on that first one there, I remember this became a meme as soon as she did it as well because she's become an international joke. Hi there, I'm a reporter with the Washington Post. Delete. It's correct response. Just don't read the rest. Who cares what this weirdo has to say? So that would be the right thing to do. And he also notes in here, as you can see, she's like, oh, you made 80 grand last month from Social Blade. It's reporting on your YouTube channel. It's like, nope, just not true. I mean, if you go back on this one, John, you can see the fact as he says, the fact that, Social Blade says that he made between $5,000 and $79,000. If you scroll down on this one, which, okay, that's Social Blade's reporting on the whole situation, but that's not how that works. I mean, Social Blade isn't always representative of the whole thing. And he goes on to say that, well, they added to the highest estimate reporting for dramatic effect. I mean, he made 80 grand. No, even Social Blade said he only made 79. But
yep, they rounded up to the nearest 10 from the top estimate. Pretty scummy.
Yeah, very, very simple scummy actions there, but then also just, we contacted you and you didn't respond. No, you didn't. Again, just made up stuff. I mean, it's nice to see reporters from leftist outlets just being found to have been making stuff up repeatedly. I mean, we covered the USA Today fact checkers getting fact checked.
Yeah.
The fact that they made up like 20-odd articles out of thin air, but they weren't the only ones. If we go back to the article here from the Daily Caller, I believe it is, then we can read more here. Saying, Lorenz blamed her editor, whose sources identified to be David Malitz, for adding the incorrect information and had asked that it be removed after publication. Quote, last Thursday, an incorrect line was added to the story of mine before publishing due to a miscommunication with the editor, she tweeted. I did not write the line and was not aware it was inserted. I asked for it to be removed as soon as the story went live. I am not a liar. I would not make stuff up like that I contacted people when I hadn't. Except that her own outlet said, well, that's not true. So the tweets were discussed and agreed upon between Lorenz and 3 other editors before posting them, the New York Times reported. Just made up again. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we all know these people are just open smear merchants, but it's nice to see the internals of how much of a smear merchant these people are, which is they will just add fake news to their own articles, and then when someone calls them out, like the Umbrella guy, is like, well, that's bollocks. You never called me. You never tagged me. They just go back and say, no, this was someone else's mistake. No, it wasn't. And then you find out, no. Like, you all just had your little room. Should we add this? Well, makes the story sound better, so we'll just add it. Contacted him, didn't respond. What a bellend. It's not true. Again, just the smallest things they will make up because they can't be bothered to do any job whatsoever. The piece originally claims Depp's attorney said he, quote, slid into big influencers' DMs to provide evidence that his client was innocent, which was also just not there. Just made up. As you say, a previous version of the story also inaccurately attributed a quote to Adam Waldman, a lawyer for Johnny Depp. The editor's note said the quote described how he contacted some internet influencers, and it has been removed because it's not there. It's not real. Again, I mean, we had 2 now in the space of like a week, which I'm quite pleased about. Just these smear merchants just getting caught up in their own lies on the public, at least, for everyone to see. I mean, you can't even quote right, apparently. But there's also the fact that Taylor Lorenz is an unlikable C word. I mean, just unbearably. I don't know how much you follow what she's been up to, but this is the thing. Like, it's not really about her. It's about the fact that she's such a villain and she's so unlikable. And you can see this in a perfect example here, as Ian had noted here. Just some random interaction, who would care, right? But this guy says, FYI, all future typos are due to long COVID. Haha, very basic joke on twitter.com from some guy. Taylor very personally hurt by all that. She responds, I'm glad it's a joke for you, Matt, and you're lucky enough not to get access to great care, blah, 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 blah. It's not funny. I was like, what? What's the matter with you? What kind of lunatic are you? Well, this is the kind of people who work at corporate media. I mean, these tobacco salesmen, who are they? Literal mad people. And then someone responds going, hi, Taylor, can I joke about it? This is me with COVID. And then all the information about the fact that, he had a bad time of it, to say the least. And she responds with, there's a big difference between joking about your own condition and others. I encourage you to learn about lateral ableism. What? This nice chap, who you can see has, been through hell. You're just like, yeah, whatever, ableist.
That response.
And then the response from the Midwest gun dad just being, dear God, I am a half-crippled, fat, balding internet shitposter, and I'm still more likable than you.
You and the internet for today, sir.
I mean, 100% true. I mean, Gun Dad over there is a bald, fat internet shitposter, and he is unbelievably more likable than this, literal C word, frankly. I mean, this is what I'm getting at. It's not really about Taylor Lorenz and the fact that she's, an obvious liar and a piece of S. I mean, that's all obviously true when she docks libs of TikTok because her fifis were hurt. But the fact that she's the kind of person that's just an open villain again. I mean, like Amber Heard. I mean, it's a weird intersect that her story blowing her up again was an Amber Heard story. But I do wonder, she hasn't actually made a public statement about Amber Heard, so I'm wondering if she's an Amber Heard stan. My fellow abusers, we all stand together. It's like, I abuse people by doxing them. You abuse people by beating them. We are like. Anyway, but here you have it. She decides to take all of this, not in the obvious direction that every other sane person did, which is that unlikable C word is being an unlikable C word again. I mean, obvious villain is the worst person on the planet. No, she decided to go with, someone says here, the way they jump on her for every little thing is so chilling. So it's not chilling. It's obvious. I mean, a public figure is unlikable. I mean, just horrible. Therefore, that's a story. She goes, it's been 2 years straight on this merry-go-round every single time I post. I'm like, no, people aren't obsessed with you because they care about you. I mean, in the slightest. I mean, the only thing that makes Taylor Lorenz of any note in the public sphere is the Libs of TikTok story, the thing that blew up because Libs of TikTok had done nothing wrong and then had to flee her house because this, C word, decided to dox her instead. I mean, people are obsessed with villains.
Yeah.
And this is why everyone was obsessed with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. It wasn't because, I cared deeply about Johnny Depp's personal finances and his relationships. I mean, No, it's about the fact that
I
someone...
thought you were a sucker for celebrity gossip, Callum.
Unfortunately not. The fact is that Amber Heard could be so publicly an open liar, absolute villain in every single regard, still stand up with it after in court she's already lost, and just carry on. I mean, it is just a train wreck. I mean, when you watch a train slowly derail and the coal goes everywhere, you can't help but stare.
Well, it sets itself up as a brilliant story, doesn't it? Because with that trial, I feel like the weight of evidence that was coming out, everyone knew what was going to happen. Like you said, like a train wreck. You're watching it, you're like, it's going to go off the end of that cliff, and you're just watching it hurtle towards, is it going to happen? Is it going to be now? Is it going to be now? Oh, there it goes. And it's just a beautiful, cathartic experience to watch.
And so is watching...
Not the train, I'm just saying. Like, innocent people. No.
As long as no one dies on the train wreck. But, watching journos destroy themselves is also a beautiful experience to watch. It's, glorious. It's just be like, oh, why does everyone hate me?
It's sort of that thing, like, one of the classic story tropes is if you have a boring conversation between two people, but then you introduce it by saying there's a bomb under the table that's fizzing, then it actually makes it really interesting to watch. And that's the same sort of thing happening with the Depp Heard trial. It's like, it's going to be explosive at the end, and it just keeps you hooked.
But there's also the aspect of it, I mean, less so with Heard, that it's for no reason either. I mean, Amber Heard didn't have to accuse Johnny Depp of hitting her. She had a career. She had millions of dollars, wasting it on rent, apparently, which I still can't get over, frankly. But, nothing going wrong in her life. Let me ruin it for no reason. I mean, that's the even more brilliant bit, because it's not just someone who's been caught being a villain. It's the fact that they made themselves a villain for no goddamn discernible reason. I mean, Taylor Lorenz could have been a journo for the left-wing media outlets, and, your left-wings are a bit of a... Yeah. But okay, but she would get along doing her thing, doing her job, her daily grind, writing those, clickbait pieces. But instead, she decided, how about I just be an unlikable C word constantly? How dare you joke about these things? Aren't you an ableist? And if we go to the next one, the left-wing response, because that's the right-wing sphere, as she mentions. It's just the right-wing are just kind of looking at her as an individual of, left-wing corporate media and being horrible. And be like, hey, get a load of this. But if you look over the left-wing, what's their response to all this? Conspiracy.
Oh.
Don't you know the rightists are all working together to try and destroy innocent, wholesome Taylor Lorenz? So you have an individual here who's like, in Meta, Facebook, the results show there is an effort to discredit Taylor Lorenz. There's not. The effort comes from Taylor herself.
But Callum, left-wing has said it, so it must be true.
Of course. How does he prove it? There are ads on Facebook. This is where it gets deep.
Okay.
That are from people like Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, or however you say his last name, and others who are putting up adverts saying, hey, look, dumb liberal. And this is a campaign to try and destroy pure, innocent, wholesome Taylor, who has done nothing but expose the Russian bots that run libs of TikTok.
I mean, I have an alternative theory.
Which may be...
Maybe they're just paying for like commercial advertising of their business, and the content they happen to be producing is about Taylor Lorenz because she's big in the news at the moment. Yeah,
but being a retard. I mean, if you click on this job, you can see some of the posts. I mean, they're all very stock standard. I mean, Ben Shapiro, I imagine he doesn't host his own... write his own stuff, as you can see, because a lot of them are like one words. And it's just being like, Dan Bongino in there being, libs fail again, pointing emojis. That's a coordinated campaign by some very serious political organizers who are like, right, the right wing is dead unless we get rid of Taylor, because what's Taylor doing? She's being retarded. So, got to stop that. It's like, no, she's just retarded. And it's funny, if nothing else, to see someone ruin their own lives, their own reputation, and become an evil individual for no discernible reason other than, well, they're bored and it's a Tuesday, I suppose. And if we go to the next one here, we can see the fact that she's also been a member of the Amber Heard fan club, as you can see there. Which is, as the individual states here, I love that when Taylor Lorenz gets called out for her toxic BS, the standard accompanying photo is this ugly cry from the MSNBC interview that she demanded be scrubbed from the internet. I mean, it is beautiful. And that's why I wonder. I mean, I do wonder if, all the abusers of the world do have a little, fan club, and they're just, rainbows holding hands being like, boy, I love being a piece of S, frankly.
Well, I think it's quite common that people who are abusers have a self-image of themselves being abused, which sort of justifies and negates the entire question of whether they are themselves acting evilly, and it removes the entire need for introspection.
I mean, you get that definitely with Amber Heard. Don't I know I'm the victim? What about my free speech to call a man an abuser and ruin his life? It's not free speech. Okay. Yeah. And then you have Taylor over here crying because she's been harassed online, and it's terrible. But anyway, do you want to know the names of all of my enemies and where they live? It's just like, right, the psychopathic behavior, as you're saying, of the abusers is in common. And then I thought it then off a completely unrelated note, but it is a holy day.
Is it?
I don't know if you're aware. It's Juneteenth, of course.
It's what now?
It's some holiday in America for. So, as you can see here, voila! Google celebrating Juneteenth for all our American black viewers, of course.
In google.co.uk, the British version. You've Googled it, so okay.
As you see, celebrate freedom. But that flag there, that's that American. No, it's the Pan-African colours. And I never thought about this, but the more I thought about it, the more I think this is as more retarded as it gets. Because if you go to the next one here, someone made the point. What the hell is this? Because Juneteenth is a celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation being pronounced in Texas and then, spreading over, black Americans who descended of slaves being freed. So what flag would you use for that? The American one, maybe? I don't know, America enslaved us originally. Okay, you could see that argument, maybe. But that doesn't really make sense because then, fought the Civil War to end that. And the American flag was used by those fighting for freedom. So, no, not. But even then, maybe you'd use the British flag or just anything. But the Pan-African colours, I mean, as you can see here, so the American holiday that recognises the end of slavery and the end of the Civil War is represented by the Pan-African flag, where the slave trade was conducted, and not the American flag where it was ended in the United States. Getting a bit big-headed there.
So the point you're making there is that the slaves were enslaved in Africa.
Yeah,
by Africans.
Who then sold them to the Europeans, who took them,
to America.
Some of them to America.
And eventually in America they were emancipated.
But then there's
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure by the time that emancipation had been taking place in the United States, the Africans were still selling slaves as well. So they're still selling, I don't know, what is it meant to be, your ancestral brothers, as Tariq Nasheed might put it. But yeah, we're going to use their colours to celebrate the end of slavery, which I just wanted to mention because I didn't want it to get, this holy day go by without mentioning, what the hell? Because the more I think about that, the more insane that is.
That's true.
Just Pan-African colours for God knows what reason. But if we go to the next one as well, we also just have someone mentioning that, today is for not people of colour, but for black people, specifically descendants of slaves. Not the black Africans.
Well, which is it?
Who are the slavers?
Is it about the descendants of slaves or is it about black people? Because those are not the same thing.
No, because then you have black slavers in Africa with their Pan-African colours, and then there's slaves in America who are flying their flag for some reason, presumably one that they don't know. But, I mean, don't feel too bad, anyone who doesn't know about Juneteenth's Holy Day and anything it stands for, apparently. Black American community certainly doesn't use that flag, because Joe Biden doesn't know either. If we go to the next one here, this is him talking about the flag, so I'm not going to play the clip, but he just goes in here and says that, yeah, we remember Juneteenth for the Tulsa Massacre, right? But no, we don't. Even those who do don't.
Okay, look, I can be excused for not knowing what this is because I am not the president of the country where it's celebrated, okay? But Joe Biden, goodness me.
Not an American, not the president, not the one who made this a national holiday, but the guy who did doesn't even know what it's for. But there we have it. I just thought a bit of a sidetrack, I know, from Taylor, but there we have, which is also just Juneteenth, which made me laugh at nothing else.
Thanks for watching this segment of the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. If you enjoyed that, you can subscribe and find our premium content at lotuseaters.com. For instance, Rory has recently done a review of Top Gun Maverick, and if you're interested in finding him on social media, you can follow him on Getter at Rory Lotus Eaters. Thank you and goodbye.